Utah moves to the Big 12, and we're going to predict every game on their 2024 schedule here in this video. First, let's just kind of talk about this Utah team coming off of a little bit of a disappointing season last year. Really, I mean, that was mostly about the quarterback position. They just didn't get good quarterback play. It was okay at times, just really inconsistent. With Cam Rising coming back, if he can be healthy, that's definitely going to help this team out. You look at the entire roster; they have a lot of talent, a lot of experience coming back, a lot of production. This team should be really good. I think they're really good in every area except, maybe the offensive line isn't great, but still solid, and the corners maybe an area where they're not great, but still solid. If they go up against a really good passing team, perhaps that could give them some trouble. Or a team that has a really good defensive line, maybe that could give them some trouble. But let's just get to it here. We'll start with Vegas's prediction, and the over-under for them is 9.5. So the most likely record for Utah, according to the odds, 9-3 or 10-2. I think that's pretty fair. I think they're better than everyone on this schedule except maybe Oklahoma State. But you have a lot of good teams and a lot of teams that could beat them. And so, yeah, they could easily lose 2 or 3 games. But at the same time, they could go 11-1. That wouldn't be too big of a surprise. But let's see exactly what my prediction is. They start with Southern Utah. Should be an easy win to start off the season. They should be 1-0 heading into that game against Baylor. Now, keep in mind, this Baylor game is not a conference game. This is a non-conference game. It will not count towards the standings. Yes, I realize both teams are in the Big 12, but it was scheduled before, and it's not part of the conference games. If you look, there's Southern Utah, there's Utah State. There's no other non-conference games. That's because this game is a non-conference game. So Baylor, a team that they bring in Daquan Finn at quarterback, an offense that I think will be better. I think that's going to help them bringing that dynamic playmaker at that quarterback position. The defense is actually something that you expect Baylor or Dave Aranda to be kind of their strong suit. I don't think they're going to be great defensively at the line of scrimmage. I think Utah probably dominates this game. And so I think they win. And that gets them to 2-0. Utah State coming up next, another game that they should win. It is on the road. I mean, crazy things happen. It's an in-state matchup. Look at Colorado State. They almost beat Colorado last year. So, yeah, anything can happen. But I think Utah will be able to take care of business there. All right, next game is against Oklahoma State on September 21st. The other team that is really experienced, really deep, just really talented. Again, I've said this many times. I think Utah and Oklahoma State kind of are a step above everyone else in the Big 12. There's some other really good teams, Arizona, Kansas State, West Virginia, but these are the best 2 teams in my opinion. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to finish at the top of the standings just because of the way the season goes and upsets happen and all that, but I think they are the 2 best teams. So this is a huge matchup. This is one that I think it's going to be a really big game. So you look at the 2 teams. Oklahoma State does not have a very good defensive line. So if Utah does have a weakness with their offensive line potentially, that bodes well for Utah. They're not facing a good defensive line, but the linebackers for Oklahoma State really good, and I think they will help out slowing down this Utah run game. Can Utah throw the football? That'll be the question. And can they stop this Oklahoma State offense? I just think Oklahoma State's a little bit better. I think the teams are pretty even, but I think Oklahoma State's a little bit better, and they're playing at home. That's a tough place to play, really underrated stadium. It is tough to win at Oklahoma State. So I think Oklahoma State wins a classic game, maybe an overtime type game. I think it'll be really good, but they come through at home and get the win. Next, we've got Arizona on September 28th, an Arizona team that is coming off of a great season. They lost some players, of course, to the transfer portal, lost their head coach. Still have some pieces there, though. I think it's still going to be an explosive offense when you look at what they've got coming back. And so I think this is going to be a challenge for Utah. I think they struggle to slow down this Arizona offense, but they'll get just enough from their defense. And I think that Cam Rising has a good game here against this Arizona defense. So I think Utah gets enough from their defense to win this game. They're playing at home. They should play really well. And I got Utah winning this game. Arizona State comes up next. I think this is actually, I don't know if I'd say an upset alert game, but it's on the road. It's a weeknight game, Friday night game. Arizona State's going to have a good defensive line. And so I think they're going to challenge Utah. And I think this game is probably close going into the fourth quarter. At the end of the day, though, I think the veteran quarterback, Cam Rising, steps up. He makes a few plays, and Utah finds a way to win. But it's a scare, and I would not be shocked if Arizona State pulled off an upset there. TCU next on October 19th. Slowing down these TCU wide receivers could be an issue for Utah. They're pretty good at that in that area. But I think the ground game for Utah will wear down this TCU defense. They find a way to run the ball again in this game. TCU doesn't have a great defensive line. Utah, I think, just enough to win at home, but a close one. I think TCU, this game will also be close. You've got Houston next on the road on October 26th. Utah's the better team here. Houston, I don't think will be bad, but I think Utah is just better enough that they're able to get this win on the road. I'm not really seeing the Arizona State scenario here in this one. I think Utah wins, and then they get BYU next on November 9th at home. We know about this rivalry. It's pretty heated, and BYU's, I just don't think they're going to be very good. I've seen some people commenting on videos saying that I'm sleeping on BYU or whatever. I really don't think that I am. When you look at this roster, they're going to be really young. They're going to be playing more freshmen than maybe they've ever played there. Usually, the freshmen don't play for a few years, but I think that Utah is just a much more experienced team, a better team. They're playing at home. I think they take care of business here against BYU. Next is Colorado on November 16th. I'm having a hard time in Colorado like I did last year. We saw enough out of this team, though, to see that they're going to be explosive on offense, and I think that's going to be the case again this year. And I think that's going to be a problem for Utah. I think slowing down these receivers for Colorado will absolutely be a problem. I don't really see Colorado running the ball a lot in this game. I don't see Colorado running the ball much at all. I think they throw it a lot, and that's going to be the recipe this year for them. And I think Utah is going to struggle to slow down that offense. So then it comes down to the Colorado defense. They've actually got, now they don't have a lot of depth, but if they can stay healthy, they've actually got some pretty good players on defense, and they've got a pretty strong defensive line. And again, if Utah does have a weakness, it's that offensive line. Again, it's hard to say because this game's so late in the season. A few injuries, and I think this one definitely goes in favor of Utah. But if Colorado can stay healthy, I think they could pull off an upset here. And I'm actually going to pick it. Colorado upsets Utah here on November 16th. And then we've got Iowa State coming up on November 23rd. Game is at home for Utah. Should be a pretty good game. I could see this game being more of a lower scoring type game. But Utah's the better team. Plus, they're playing at home. I think they win. And again, I've got them beating Iowa State in this one. All right, next we've got UCF on the road Friday to close out the season, November 26th, 29th. This is going to be a UCF offense that's explosive, but has some question marks at the line of scrimmage. Offensive line, I think, is going to be a question mark for them. That's not a good matchup because this Utah defense is going to be good, especially up front. And so I think that bodes well for Utah. I think they're able to slow down this UCF rushing attack. They're really going to want to, I think, run the football a lot this year with all their weapons in the backfield, including KJ Jefferson. But yeah, I think Utah able to slow down that rushing attack, survive a close one on the road. I was really close to picking UCF here just because it's the last game of the year on the road. It just kind of had that feeling. But I'm going to say Utah wins it and they finish 10-2. I think I could definitely flip Colorado and UCF. So say they beat Colorado and lose to UCF. That's definitely a scenario that I could see playing out. But I really think this team gets to 10-2. I think they're going to be right there in the running for the Big 12 championship. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Give me your predictions for Utah down in the comments below.